Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day you die, you gon' touch the sky. You gon' touch the sky, baby girl, testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for clicking. My name is Alexa Monet. Today we are going to be making a very easy crochet bandeau crop top. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to the channel, comment on this video, share, and make sure you like it as well. Let's get into what we'll be using to make our crop top. So I'm going to be using Loops and Threads Impeccable yarn. This is in the color Lippy Rose Bonbon. It's a weight 4 yarn and it calls for a 5mm hook, but we're going to be using a 4.5mm hook, a pair of scissors, and measuring tape. Now, I will be making this item in a size 2X, 3X, but we're going to use our measuring tape, so you'll be able to make this in any size. So we're going to get started with our slip knot. The first measurement you'll need is the length that you would like your top to be. I did this in a crop top. Obviously, it's going to be quicker to make a crop top, so I just made it in a crop top. But if you want it to be longer than that, you can make it any length you'd like for it to be. So for me, I'm going to start with a chain of 50 plus 1. We have our chain of 50 plus 1. And now in our second chain from the hook, we are going to place a single crochet. So skip that first chain and go into the second chain and place a single crochet, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over and pull through 2. We're going to do that again. Insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. And now we're going to continue doing that all the way down our chain. So I have one row of 50 single crochets. Now I'm going to chain 1 and turn. Next, I'm going to do a row of single crochets, but this whole row will be back loop only. So I'm going to insert my hook into the V, okay? So we're inserting our hook into that first stitch, into the V, into the back loop, and we're placing a single crochet there. Okay, I'll show you again. So into the V, going into, let me move this piece of yarn so you can see, into the back loop only, not the 2 loops here like a standard single crochet. We're going into the back loop only, okay? And then placing our single crochet, back loop only. Show you one more time. Okay, and I'm going to continue doing that all the way down. Now we have 2 rows of our single crochets, 1 row of back loop only, and that's actually what we're doing for the rest of the piece. So that's our very easy repeat, is back loop only single crochets. Every row will be back loop only single crochets. Okay, so now I'm going to chain 1 and I'm doing the same thing. For me, I'm going to do this for another 13 rows. I'm doing 15 rows of back loop single crochets in total. Well, our first row was a regular single crochet. if you're not doing the same size as me, like I said, I'm doing a size 2X, 3X. What I do when I'm making a piece is I usually will divide it into fours, halves, fractions. So you're gonna need to complete this until it measures 1/4 of the way across. I'll explain in better detail in the next clip, but you'll see after my 15 rolls, I'll be able to stretch this to fit 1/4 of the way. I'll show you against my measuring tape in the next clip. Okay, so let's go over the next measurements. So you need the measurement of your bust, which in my case, it was 52. So we're making 2 panels. So we know that each panel needs to be 26 inches because that's half of 52. Now, of course, you're gonna use whatever measurement you have for your bust to do the same thing and split that in half. And then I'm breaking that into fours. So we need this first piece to be able to stretch 1/4 of the way across, and that will be 6.5 inches. So you just need to make enough rolls until you can stretch it to your measurement. So as you can see, this stretches to 6.5. And so you need to do the same thing. So you might be going here or even smaller than this, but however far you're going, it needs to be able to stretch, because if you make it that long, then it'll be too loose. We want it to be tight. So now we have our 15 rolls, and now I'm going to chain 25 plus 1. So that was 1, 2, 3. So we have a chain of 25 plus 1, and then we're going to place a single crochet in our second chain from the hook. And then continue placing single crochets all the way down. I'll show you what we're going to do when we get to the end. So now we reach back to our piece, and we are going to start again with our back loop single crochets. Just continuing down our 50 stitches, which of course now we're going to have a total of 75 when we complete this row. I'll meet you at the end of the row. Okay, so now we're just going to continue with our back loop single crochets for a total of 7 rolls for our straps. I'll meet you when we complete 6 more rows. Okay, so now we have completed 7 rows for our strap. So I have a total of 22 rolls so far. And the strap is just standard. I think 7 rows would work for anybody. So now I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And on this row, I'm going to place 55 single crochets and stopping here. And I'll meet you there. So only place 55 back loop single crochets. So now I have 55 single crochets, back loop only, and I am going to place a decrease for this next row. So I'm just simply going to skip the first stitch and place a back loop single crochet in the next stitch. And I did chain 1 before turning. We're chaining 1 and turning before every row. And then I'm just going to continue down. After this row, we're going to come back and place another decrease at the end. I'll show you guys so we can do that together. But just keep placing your single crochets, and then I'll meet you at the end of the next row. Now I've reached the end of the next row, and I'm going to place, I have 2 stitches left, and I'm going to place 1 back loop single crochet, and I'm going to leave the last stitch so that we have another decrease on the end. So for the next 3 rows, you're going to continue placing decreases just on the side of the strap, and then you will be back to having only 50 single crochets in your rows. Okay, so you're just decreasing for the next 3 rows until you're back to 50 single crochets in your row. And make sure you're only placing decreases on the end where your strap is. Okay, so now I have decreased down to having 50 stitches again in my rows. And so from this point on, we just need to complete our panel by doing enough rows that we can stretch it across half of our bust measurement. Okay, so for me, I'm going to do 34 more rows. You do the amount that you need to do to stretch to your half of your bust measurement. When I'm done with my 34 rows, I will show you guys how it stretches, and I will meet you then. Okay, so I did 34 more rows of my 50 back loop single crochet stitches, and now I'm going to show you guys. So the panel on its own, it just goes to 16 inches. So if you're following this, you can, I guess, maybe say that we deducted 10 inches from the complete measurement we needed, and just crochet to that point. Maybe you could try that. That'll work for you. And like I said, we need to be able to stretch this to 26. So let me just move both over because you can't see the full thing. But I want to show you guys the stretch, how far we can stretch it. So now I'm going to show you that it stretches to 26. You see that? It stretches all the way to 26 inches. And that's what we want, because we want it to be tight when we wear it, because it's a bandeau top. Also, I know you guys can see this color change. This is the same color, 2 different lot numbers. So when you buy your yarn, try to get all your yarn the same lot number. I have a very bad habit of not keeping track of that and just picking up yarn and not checking that. So that's what happens when you do that. And I used just a little over 1 skein of yarn for this whole top. So yeah, you're probably going to want to get 2 at least. And so now we have to connect both of our panels. Now, after you have your second panel, you're going to want to line these up. Okay, so you should have the same exact panel, same exact amount of stitches. And now we're going to join these panels together. So I'm going to start here. It doesn't matter what end you start on, but I'm just going to start here. Okay, so I'm going to be attaching yarn. I'm going to go through this side, 1 layer, and then I'm going through the first stitch on my other panel. Okay, and then I'm going to pull through with my yarn. I'm going to pull through both panels. Okay, and then I'm going to chain 1. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into that same stitch, both of those same stitches, and I'm going to create a single crochet. So I'm pulling through both sides and single crocheting. And that's how I'm going to join my panels, okay? That's how I'm creating my seam. So I'll show you again. I'm going through one side Then I'm going through the stitches on the next side. And I'm doing a single crochet. Very simple. And I'm going to do this all the way down into all 50 stitches until I reach the end, okay? So I'll meet you at the end of this. Okay, so I have completed my seam and I fastened off. And this is what it looks like. And this is what it looks like on the outside. And now I'm just going to do the same thing on this side. And then I'm going to do the same thing at the top of this strap. And then we will be done. So I'm going to complete that off camera and then show you the finished product. And here is the finished crop top. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.